Hey everyone, happy Friday to you guys. It's Sam with a video to talk about writing. Yes, I am here in a hotel right now. I've been at a work retreat this week. I posted about that earlier in the week. It's over now, or today was just a travel home day, so I'm just here waiting for my ride. But I've been at a hotel in Orlando enjoying myself. I did go to Disney for the first time ever and got to see the Star Wars stuff and lots of fun things. But yeah, been a fun week, but I'm ready to go home. It's been a busy season of travel with Thanksgiving and then this trip, and so we're not going anywhere for Christmas. We're just staying home. I'm looking forward to a quiet rest of the month slash year. But anyway, still wanted to talk about writing. I'm still, in the midst of all my business around the holidays and such. I'm still trying to keep up with my writing and submitting to publishers and creative juices and all that stuff. So I just wanted to talk today about an idea I had, and maybe it'll help you too. A creative exercise, if you will, that for me boosted some inspiration, and maybe will for you too. I posted a while back, and I've mentioned this before. I've done at least one video on this before, but there's a game I like to play with myself sometimes. Just a creative exercise where as a fan, as a reader, writer, as a writer who's also a reader slash consumer of stories, I ask myself this question: what would I do if I was writing this character, or if I was writing this story or this world, that kind of thing? What would I do? And I started asking myself that about superheroes because I'm a superhero guy, but also like these characters are, they've been done to death in so many different ways. Batman's been around for decades, and it feels like everything has been done. So I'm like, it's a challenge to ask yourself, what would you do differently if you were writing Batman or someone like that, or this character or Spider-Man or X-Men or whatever. Ask yourself, what would you do if you were writing those characters that's fresh and original and hasn't been done before. Obviously, you don't have to use superheroes. Substitute whatever your genre is or whatever kind of thing you're into watching. That is somewhat in the same realm of your story, but yeah, it's a good creative exercise to ask yourself, what would I do if I was writing X, and kind of just let your imagination flow freely. I started asking that a different way. I asked myself, what would I do if I was writing a fantasy story? Because I'm more of a sci-fi guy. I can't really tell you why I prefer one over the other. I just kind of do. I mean, in reading, I enjoy both, but I think I'm a little more sci-fi. I love Star Wars and Marvel, and all that stuff. And in my writing, I've done superheroes. Some of my other stories that haven't quite gotten out there yet involve like time travel and dimensional travel and things like that. So I really am more of a sci-fi guy. Again, I couldn't really nail down why specifically. I think maybe it has to do with, I mean, and what am I about to say? I'll have to qualify it. Fantasy, just like, I don't know, creating a fantasy world with a magic system. It feels like there are no rules. I mean, I know the best ones do have rules. It's not just like random magic, whatever you want, but it's like that. There is an order to things and such like that. But it kind of feels like I can just write anything out there. And well, honestly, I mean, that's the excuse I give. Or honestly, the same is kind of true for sci-fi. At least the sci-fi I write, because my sci-fi isn't really grounded in real science like some is. It's not super detail oriented. It's more like, they have superpowers because of chemicals. That makes sense, right? So I mean, maybe fantasy isn't that much different from the sci-fi I write. You know how kind of, I don't know. Sometimes you have a gut feeling and you can't really explain why it is, and your brain kind of invents reasons after the fact. I think that's what I'm doing. I can't really explain why I don't gravitate toward fantasy more. Why I'm more sci-fi than fantasy. Um, I feel like it would be hard for me to come up with a fantasy world. And I've talked about it in previous videos too. World building isn't my strong suit either. So maybe that's part of it. I'd have to come up with a whole world where for me it's running superheroes. It's relatively easy to put them into a realistic setting, or a real city, or modern day America, whatever, and just say they have superpowers. Go. Um, so anyway, for whatever reason, I have gravitated more towards sci-fi than fantasy. Now, I mean, when I was younger, I tried all different things. I obviously I read Lord of the Rings. I mean, and lots of fantasies inspired by Lord of the Rings these days, whether consciously or unconsciously. I wrote one. I mean, as a teenager, I started writing a story that was very derivative. It was maybe impressive for a teenager, but it was just, an elf going on a quest in a land where there's elves and wizards and monsters and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was, not bad for a teenager maybe, but if I was writing a fantasy today, I'd want something more than that. I feel like anyone can write the trope of the young farm boy finds out he's the chosen one, goes on a quest. In some ways that's Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Wheel of Time, Aragon. I'm sure I can name more, but it's been done to death. I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could write something like that, but I'm like, I want to make mine different. I want to make mine original. I started asking myself, if I was writing a fantasy, what could I do differently? No, I'm not saying it'd be completely original because nothing's new under the sun and everything's been done before, but I'm like, what could I do that feels a little more fresh, or that's not just, churning out the tropes again and again? And I came up with an idea. I'm not going to tell you my whole idea because it's pretty new. It's not very fleshed out. I haven't even written down for myself yet. I don't know when or if I'll ever actually write this book. Maybe NaNoWriMo in a year or two. I can try. So no promises yet. This is just the beginnings of an idea as a result of a creative experiment. Um, but here's kind of what I settled on. I mean, yes, fantasy. Some people might say you want to start with creating the world and creating the magic system and whatever that is because you want to be consistent. And if that's how you do it, go for it. But for people like me who are not inclined to world building or not that's not our strength, and maybe so much as other things, I was like, let me start with a character and whatever else is going on in the world around it. Readers connect to a character. So I feel like no matter what the external trappings are of sci-fi or fantasy or whatever else, readers will connect to a sympathetic character who they like and want to believe in. And again, I could always do the young farm boy becomes the hero, and nothing wrong with that necessarily. I mean, we're still watching movies like that, so it's still something we enjoy. But I was like, I want to do something different that wouldn't just be rehashing all the old tropes. And I thought about, well, what if my character was based on me? And I mean, not in like a Mary Sue overpowered way, but like someone who has my struggles and my flaws. Actually, in my superhero novel, the main character was largely inspired by myself. I mean that was me when I was 20, and I've changed and grown since then. So my personality is a little different, but um, but I think yeah, there's something to be said for writing your own experiences and writing your struggles into a character, and then other people, will connect to that too. So I was like, what if the main character was, not a young boy, but maybe a young dad has to take care of his family, and what if he's not, the strong knight warrior, but hero, but he's like a nerd or whatever passes for a nerd in a fantasy setting, like a scribe by trade, or what if he's what if he's this dad who's more about taking care of his family than about like fighting battles or anything, and he's struggling with the magic and stuff. And what if he has to become the hero? And I thought about the world a little bit. Um, that, that's the other thing. The other trope that's easy to do. The fantasy story that I read that I worked on when I was younger that I mentioned that was very cliche. It was also a thinly veiled allegory for God and my faith, which again there has its place, but I wouldn't want to do that as directly. I still feel like in any fantasy novel I write, if I was being true to my faith and my beliefs, I feel like there would be a God figure. I mean, it may not have to be a clear allegory or a one-to-one correlation or whatever, but I feel like there would still be something like that. So maybe the magic is their expression of their faith, and then like, and this character will be wrestling with doubts and struggling with insecurities because as a 33-year-old or whatever, life gets hard. And what if he can't use the magic all the time, or he doesn't feel like he's in the same place, magically or spiritually, whatever, as other people are, and what would that community look like? So that's the beginnings of my idea. Not fully fleshed out, just the beginnings of an idea. But that's my advice to you. If you are wanting to write a new story or to just kind of push your creative boundaries a bit, one, think of a creative exercise. Ask yourself, what would I do if I was writing X? That could be switching your genre. If you're a sci-fi person, go to fantasy. If you're a fantasy person, go to sci-fi, or try mystery or action or thriller or romance or horror or whatever else you want that's outside of your normal comfort zone. One, do that. And two, if you can't think of how to get started, if you can't think of where to go from there or what you would do, or just what to do in this genre, focus on character. Create a character who the reader will connect to, and let the rest of the genre fall into place. The genre trappings, everything external, will fall into place around the character, and hopefully people will connect to it. I encourage you to try it out. It doesn't mean you have to write a full novel right now that you weren't planning to write before. Maybe just a short story or something. I have this idea and I haven't written it down yet, so I don't have much room to talk. I know we're all busy and we all have multiple projects going on, but could be a cool exercise. And I may, again, one day in all my free time, I may do something with it. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope I inspired some creativity in you today, or some possible avenue of inspiration. And have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.